Hello everyone. I hope you've been missing base building levels because Ensemble is serving up a very nice one here. They've put a twist on things by making it part escort mission and also including a non-base portion at the very beginning before you get to the first town. It's quite a good mission all in all, although the opening cinematic could be much better. There's far too much emphasis upon the unrealistic looking sky for one thing.
The Sword of the Guardian, used by Horus to defeat Set once before. Now one of his followers, Kemsit, seeks to take it.
Kemsit? He is your enemy?
He has captured a temple to Osiris near here. There is a Guardian at the temple, but it sleeps. If we return the sword to the Guardian, it will awaken.
It seems the gods have smiled on us.
How very convenient that Kemsit is our common enemy. Although it's micro-intensive to take 0 casualties, the start of this mission is fairly easy otherwise.
The Oasis village
2,
near here
1,
is
3, there we go.
God set.
Heroes up front as usual.
Other local villagers to my
There are many new unit types to talk about, but I'm going to try to take things slow and go over them one by one. I'm going to take this top route down because the fight is much easier to manage that way. So first off, let me talk about these guys, chariot archers. They're extremely important Egyptian units which unlock in the heroic age. They're as fast as most cavalry units, they outrange almost any other archer in the game, they have good damage and excellent durability, so no real weaknesses there. Their price, however, is very high. They cost about 50% more than most archer units, including population, but they're well worth it. These slingers won't actually attack until they reach a certain spot, so I've blocked that spot and I'm microing to kill them all before they can get there. Can't let them tear up my slingers after all.
Yet not even one rock thrown. Very nice.
Now this sword bearers unit is unique to this mission. If they die, I lose. But despite just being 2 guys in the loincloth, they're tougher than any of my heroes are by far, so I'll use them as tanks fairly often. I try to keep my archers back because an enemy wave is coming soon. Oh, there it is, okay. I'll pull back away from other reinforcements. Then my heroes can fight the Anubites, and my archers can focus down the spearmen quickly. They have to die fast, because otherwise they'll chew up Amonra. It really does take both planning and micro to beat this fight with no casualties, because the enemy loves to go past your heroes to your back line and tear up your vulnerable slingers. Plus Amonra loves to get herself killed. Now just before these last slingers die, I need to have my heroes press past them quickly, because these green villagers are about to join my side, and they will then aggro a bunch of Anubites who will kill them if I don't get them first. This fight is another reason I tried to make sure no hero took too much damage in the last one. And while the battle rages, these villagers can get some gold for later. As you can see, by the way, the Anubite jump is one of the very few myth unit abilities which can be used against heroes, and the sword bearers. Speaking of whom, I should send them ahead on their long journey, since they're so slow. Well, as you can see, that was close, but everything worked out as I planned. Amonra in particular is still badly injured though, so I need to make sure nothing finishes her off as we progress.
Nice scenery to see along this path.
This giant temple over here, by the way, is the kind of wonder you build if you're playing as Set. It's based on the Abu Simbel temples, which are very far south in Egypt and were built by Ramesses the Great. Wonders don't have much role in the campaign, but in multiplayer if you build one and hold it for 10 minutes, you win.
Mummies, as I mentioned, are not really much of a threat to heroes, but they can instant kill human soldiers.
The sword bearers are immune, of course, because this is a good game, and it would be a terrible, terrible mission if they weren't. Now another mummy will spawn as your lead unit moves along the path, which is why my human soldiers are still staying back. This relic I picked up is a rather useful one, called the Ankh of Ra. It grants plus about 2.4 favor per minute. The Egyptians in particular enjoy that because they have no good way to boost their favor income otherwise. Which is quite fitting, because the Ankh was a major symbol of the gods and life in Egyptian mythology. As usual, these serpents are no threat. Never were, never will be. I'll put them to decent use myself next mission, though. We're on the home stretch once we fight through here, and meanwhile the sword bearers have almost arrived. Animals like these crocodiles are unique to people who play as Set. They're a fun perk, but not terribly useful except for scouting or a few specialized rush strategies. Too fragile. Anyway, the next phase begins once these villagers reach town.
Look, our men have returned.
I don't know why Kemsa only had the men enslaved, because, women can dig just as well in this game. I suppose Kemsa's just kind of a sexist.
We will join you to defeat him.
Alright, the Pharaoh empowers the town hall so I'll get free gold when I drop what I have off. Then everybody is retasked to go get food.
Bring the sword to the sleeping guardian before
They give you a nice, easy setup on this introductory mission with all resources available, including 4 fish schools. Chiron can drop this thing off. I want to make a whole bunch of priests. As I mentioned before, they're good against myth units and they also need a lot of healing. A major battle will occur as I try to fight my way up to that guardian statue in the enemy town. If the sword bearers get there, I get control of the guardian, which you can see is tremendously powerful. Unbeatable, really.
only the neighboring villages stand in his way.
Now I can advance to the next stage and retask my villagers to non-food things. While a pharaoh empowers a building, that building generates free resources when resources are dropped off at it. Looks like I need to manually order my priests to heal. Their AI is strange about that sometimes. So Kempset's army will slowly stomp on these green villages as they move toward his base, but that really doesn't matter at all. Get these guys out there. One last fishing ship.
Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Melth, you handsome fellow, how did you possibly beat this mission in only 10 minutes? Well, my good sir or ma'am or other appellation, the answer is very cleverly.
I'm going to use the chariot's huge vision range, a teleport god power, and some microde to take an unforeseen back route to the Guardian.
As an amusing note, you'll see the game doesn't actually give us our archaic god power until later. They didn't expect anybody to play this fast. Okay, here goes.
We can invoke rain from Ra.
Excellent god power. Once they've teleported, they send them on their way. Now here comes a fight. These big guys down here are Avengers, Mythic Age myth units. They're extremely dangerous, but I built a lot of priests just to counter them.
Even priests get eaten up by them if you're not careful. Meanwhile, Chiron over here needs to be getting to work.
This is the best way I've found with my experiments to make this good idea go properly. Diversionary strike on that armory right now.
So you can see 0 casualties so far.
Now it turns out this huge wave of enemy reinforcements goes to the first place inside their walls that gets attacked. So I had to have Chiron attack the armory before the town center shoots at the sword bearers. As an aside, that rainbow over the enemy town center is because my rain power benefits them too. It makes them farm twice as fast and me thrice. Alright, Chiron drew them off just far enough. Now he needs to scram. The enemy does still have 1 Avenger on guard duty here, but that's not enough as long as you move quickly. This wall will forestall any further attacks from the enemy base.
The sword bearers.
Just a few more steps, and alright, I've got this. Well, the game is now in the bag, with 0 casualties. Now I just need to win fast. Now you may be disappointed to find out that this whole Guardian thing has no basis whatsoever in Egyptian mythology. It has no real role in the story either, unfortunately. Amon-Ra and Kempset went to a lot of trouble fighting over the sword and trying to reactivate the Guardian, and then we just kind of ditch it and forget about it. That giant box by the Guardian's feet is the thing that actually matters, but nobody even talked about that this mission. Well, let me talk about the Egyptians during this mop-up. They've got more similarities with the Greeks than you might think. Many shared technologies, for one thing. Their villagers completely suck, though. They're worse at everything. The pharaoh makes up for that by granting extra resources by empowering drop sites. You only get 1 pharaoh, though, and he's both slow and fragile. If he dies, you're just in trouble for 90 seconds till a new one respawns. Oh, in case it wasn't clear, what I have to do to win is destroy Kempset's red army. The others don't matter. In yet another element of good game design, they don't waste your time here. Once you have the Guardian, Kempset's army skips the villages and just runs at you in much the same way lemmings run off of cliffs when they're chased by unscrupulous camera crews who are trying to pander to a bizarre popular myth. The Guardian's splash damage is also a nice time saver. There's the enemy pharaoh. They all have names, most from real pharaohs, but also a handful of silly ones, plus a few guys who weren't actually Egyptian. Like Cambyses, who was the Persian who conquered Egypt, or Cleopatra, who was really more Greek. The ones with female names still use the male unit model, by the way. Besides that only they can empower, pharaohs are like priests but better. They heal faster, they have better stats, and they're more powerful against myth units. Although their secret damage multiplier is actually worse, so they're not as much better as you might think. As an important note, Ra's priests, and only Ra's priests, actually can empower almost as well as pharaohs. Quite a useful bonus. So a few more Egyptian details. They have most of the same buildings available as the Greeks do. Their buildings don't cost any wood though. Some are outright free, and others only cost gold. Quite a nice savings overall. Their fortress equivalent is called the Migdol Stronghold. It trains all the good troop types, but can't make siege units. Instead, they have a building called the Siege Works just for those. One other unit the strongholds make, which we haven't seen till now, are war elephants. Here come Kempsits. So here's a little bit of history on these elephants. The game says they go back at least to Hannibal, but actually they're far older. For starters, the famous Greek king Pyrrhus, after whom Pyrrhic victories were named, used them against Rome nearly a century earlier. There's a couple of stories there. For one thing, Pyrrhus used to prank people by hiding elephants in his audience room and then suddenly having them trumpet on a signal. This other time, Pyrrhus was attacking the Greek city of Argos for no reason when one of his elephant riders was badly wounded and fell from the saddle. Once the elephant saw what had happened, it rampaged through friend and foe alike, picked its rider up in its trunk, and carried him to safety. They're fascinating animals. Now to win, I need to kill all but 2 of the red units, so it's okay that the quick Avengers sneak by. The elephants are really slow and really big, which makes them easy prey to splash damage like this. That's why elephants aren't much use in-game. They count as really expensive cavalry, and at first glance they're actually worth it. The problem is their horrifyingly bad speed and clumsy size, which makes them nearly unusable and easily kited. Plus myth units wreck them. I think that's a new world record for Titan difficulty on this mission. Most people take 40 minutes or more by frontal assault, and I can do it in 20, but this strategy got me 10 minutes with 0 casualties. Well, I hope you all enjoyed my latest stroke of genius. Have a great day, everyone.